Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It's Charlie Bengel Jr., CEO of Remax Allegiance. Welcome to another edition of the Allegiance Way Show and the Daily Dose. My co-host, as usual, is coaching extraordinaire Amy Lassen. Welcome back to the show, Amy.
Thank you much.
So today we have a very interesting topic, business planning. This, I think when a lot of agents hear this, they immediately just want to take a nap. They think business planning, or they get excited. It's like, okay, well, we'll do this plan. We'll do it in December, and then I'll feel good going into, 2020, 2021, and they don't look at it again.
Sure.
So kind of what are your opening introductory thoughts in reference to business planning?
My goodness. I guess I want to address what you just said, and that is your mindset around this, because I think we're either bored by it, we think it's useless, maybe we're intimidated by it, no thank you, that's too hard, or we hope it's the magic beans. It's the magic beans. All I have to do is fill it out, and then my business will just unfold.
Right.
Oh, stop sharing. Look at that. How are we sharing already? No, sorry. I
No,
thought
we're
we
good.
were sharing on our screen. Okay. So I think the mindset that I have come to develop around business planning is when you don't have a plan, any road will take you there, right? When you don't have a destination, then you're just going to blunder. You're going to wake up unemployed every day, and you're going to be frustrated. Right. You're going to be inefficient with your time. We've recommended several books about efficiency and focus, and that's what a business plan should hopefully help you with. And so my little slogan around business plans is they neither need to inspire action or inspire revision. Those are the two things, not inspire a nap, right? It needs to inspire your actions, or if it's like, no, this isn't working for me, well, then don't throw it away, change it, right? Don't ignore it, change it. I had a client come to a coaching call and say, hey, Amy, I have this new idea, and it was completely outside of anything we'd ever discussed. It was outside the blueprint we had drawn up for her business. And I just said, please, please, please make some edits to your business plan and show me that. Don't just every day, every call, right. It's a new random idea. So that's what I think this is the blueprint for staying on track and being efficient over time.
So I'm an agent. I've been in business 20 years. I wish, wait, and hope on 100,000 and GCI falls in my lap. Why do I need a plan?
Ooh, I think that's a great question. Why do you need a plan? Yeah. And then I would just ask, so tell me about that. I'm happy with what I have. I don't want it to change. Cool. Right. And I will keep asking questions, because every once in a while there is somebody that's exactly true for. They're like, no, I want nothing to change. Well, then please don't write a plan of change.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
But what I would find out is that they could be serving their clients at a higher level. They could get their time back. Like if I interviewed them long enough, I think we would find things they absolutely want. They want to have time to go to the gym. There would be something.
Right. Got it. Cool. Do you want to start with your...
Sure.
Kind of, so the way this is going to work today is we're going to pull up your one pager, kind of explain how, easy peasy business planning works. And then we'll pull up the 3-pager that they will be able to download from the allegianceway.com by clicking on Daily Dose later today.
Yep. And the only reason I did a one pager is because I just want everyone to know, once you get the basics of business planning, it's not that challenging, and then it's something that you can use to guide your actions, and you can revise at will, and it will be a powerful, powerful tool. I love to share the story of a couple of years ago. A friend of mine came to me and said, Amy, I'm not going to make my goals this year. And I said, what does that mean? Because it was September. I was actually really surprised. September 24th. And I said, what do you mean? And she said, well, I had back surgery. I've just fallen behind on my lead gen. I'm off my numbers. I'm not going to hit my numbers. And I said, wait, I'm still confused. You've got this many months left. Let's do the math. So that's what very quickly we're going to do with all of you. But I just add, how many closings do you need? How many conversations is that? What are your sources of business? How did you take action? She jumped on it, and she exceeded her goals and had her strongest quarter. And this sounds like hyperbole. It sounds like I'm making this up to convince you guys, and it's not. She absolutely exceeded her goal that year and had her strongest quarter ever, because she just came in doing the work. And she was so surprised and so gratified by simple math that showed her the way. So here's what we have. Should I make it even bigger, Charlie? I was hoping that all of it would fit so you could see. It's not.
I think it's okay, because most people watching are going to be watching with the overall window is going to be larger. They don't have all the comments over on the right.
Okay.
Hopefully.
And we're going to give you a beautiful template for building a great business plan. So you need to frantically take notes. You don't need to take a screenshot. The only reason I did this simple thing, and honestly, I did it while Charlie and I were chatting. I want you to know it was this easy for me to do this 10 minutes ago. Okay.
Right.
So at the very, very top, we have what is the goal? And maybe you keep track of your goal with the amount of commissions, the transaction size, or volume. Maybe it's all three. For the math that is in the simple one sheet, the number of sides is going to be a vital number. Okay. So let's say it's 24 transactions closed.
Okay.
Month. And you'll see how I came to this. I reverse engineered this total GCI number as I went down. But if your average price is $435, and you can figure that out, if that's complex for you, look at your MLS. What is the average price in your MLS? Work from some sort of an average. What is your average commission percentage? I just put in a guesstimate here. You figure out what that is for you.
Or ask your brokerage, right?
Oh,
your brokerage can pull that number. And by the way, it's not 3%. Please don't use 3%. Even if you always charge 3%. If your mom is going to list her house for sale, you're more than likely not going to charge 3%. So it's not 3%. So 2.3, 2.8, 2.75, something like that. Go on.
Yep. Great. I like that. So, and then yes, excellent point, Charlie. Your brokerage has your numbers. Absolutely reach out to your brokerage and get those numbers. So I created an average commission. Okay. So if the average for this agent was 435 at 2.8 commission, here is an average commission for every single deal. And then I just went ahead and said, wait, how much are we going to earn? Yep. So times 24 deals, this is our GCI. And maybe I'll put this in here. GCI, gross commission income. This is if a house is 300,000 and the commission is 3%, that's $9,000.
Right.
That's the gross. And people say to me all the time, yeah, but I'm on a split. Yeah, but what about my gas for my car? Those are called expenses.
Right.
And you deal with those later. So gross commission income, that's what we're talking about. Now we've got our goal, right? You want to close 24 sides and you want to basically earn 300,000 in a year. How are you going to do that? 24 sides times 50 conversations each. This is, I talk to my neighbor, I talk to people on my farm, I talk to people at open houses, whatever it is. The 50 conversations you have approximately over time converts to a closing. So 24 closings times 50 conversations equals 1,200 lead generating conversations per year.
Okay.
Now, in her case, we did the math for the rest of the year. Starting at September 24th, basically we had October and November, because we wanted everything to close in December. So we had 2 months and we did the math for her and we came up with her conversation quota to get her to her goal. So 1,200 conversations divided by, let's say, 11 months instead of 12. Let's be realistic that we're going to take some time off. 110 conversations a month, 28 a week, 6 per day.
Got it.
6 per day. Suddenly 300,000 does not sound all that challenging, but you have to discipline yourself to do it. And then people say all the time, but wait. Who do I talk to? So where will these conversations come from?
First question, in case somebody missed a previous show, can you define conversation?
Ooh, can we? I love this. I love this challenge. Here's what it isn't. If I have not promoted my service model to the people that I have contact information for, okay? They know me as a friend, they know me as a neighbor, but they really don't know my professional service model. And I say, hi, how's your dog? And they say, great, how's your dog? And I say, great, and I hang up. I don't know if that's a conversation because they don't even remember that I'm a realtor.
Right.
Okay? So if I have sent my stats every month and sent the Local Love newsletter every single month for the last couple of years, and I call a past client and I say, how was your son's graduation during COVID? Tell me all about it. I don't also have to say, you want to buy or sell, you want to buy or sell, you want to buy or sell. I can make it personal and I can be genuine because she knows what I do for a living and now she's not going to forget that I exist. What do you think about that comparison, Charlie?
Well, first, I think that can be a phone conversation. I think it can be in person. I think it can be a text message. I think it can be, a Facebook message, as long as it's going back and forth and there's flow, right? I generally do not believe that a conversation can be an email because people generally do not respond to email quickly. And then we respond quickly and they respond quickly, right? I mean, that can happen, but nowadays that's much more like a text message, kind of a thread, if you will. I agree with what you're saying. If they know me well, then a check-in, I think, is fine to count as a conversation. If they don't, first of all, in the pandemic time, people are going to ask you, how's the market, right? People think that, businesses stopped, you're out of business, no one's moving, right? So there's really not a better time than now to pick up the phone because they are going to ask you, and then that opens the door for you to talk about the market. in a more normal time, I would submit that if they don't know what you do or remember or know you well enough, then I think that you have to ask that question, right? You need to bring up real estate at the end of the call. You need to say, 2 years ago when I was helping you move, and I know it's been a while since we've chatted, you guys were so much fun people know other fun people. Who do you know who's fun, who's looking to buy or sell in the near future that I can help, right? That's one script. I think you've got to bring it up. But I agree with you on the front end. If it's just checking on pets and they kind of know you, but no, they don't know you well, that does not count as a conversation. And it's going to take 40 or 50, more than 40 or 50 of those, to get to a deal. And that number 50, you're going to see on my worksheet, I use the number 40. Whatever's appropriate for you. In an ideal world, we're going to be talking about tracking. I think on Friday, we're talking about tracking. Yeah. Ideally, we're tracking at a high level. So we're not using 50 conversations to a deal or 40. We're using your number, right? Whatever your personal number is based on your skills and your tracking. So that's a plug for tracking instead of using, I think Tom used to use 40. Then he changed it to 50, which is more conservative, which is great. You've been in business 20 years and you know your stuff. It's going to be less than 50. If you're a brand new agent, it's probably going to be more than 50.
That's a really good point. And I love it that I misunderstood your question when you said, what is a conversation? Because I think we came up with a really great answer between the two of us, because it's a two-part answer. One is it's back and forth. That's a conversation. It's not a 200 people got an email blast.
Right. Yeah. It's not your e-newsletter, right? No, which you should be sending anyway, but that doesn't count as a conversation. And I actually had somebody ask me that. So does that count? I said, great. No. Fantastic that you're sending it. It's good for your business, but no.
So yeah, does it count if and it's always something good, marketing is important.
Right.
Educating is important. Does it count as talking to someone back and forth? Definitely not. That's not what it is.
Right.
So you got to do all the things, but conversations will get you to appointments, right?
Yes.
So
yes.
I think, so Charlie, you defined it as back and forth. Yes. And I defined it as lead generating.
Yes. Yes.
So it's a back and forth lead generating conversation. A conversation is lead generating if I have well educated my people and we're talking about their dog, right, or if we're talking about real estate.
Right.
And I think it's easier to insert real estate than you guys think. Most agents that Charlie and I talk to say, I don't want to be pushy. I don't want to be that agent.
Right.
And if I talk to any single person that I have a phone number for and said, oh, by the way, do you have any questions about real estate during this time of social distancing? And they say, no, I could say, okay, but I brought it up, right? And I think most people do. Is the market crashing? Can you show houses? Should I wait to buy? They have questions. So I don't think it's that hard to make every conversation a lead generating conversation, but that's the disclaimer.
No, I agree. And it's the drunk monkey that sits on our shoulder that tells us that it's hard, or tells us that somebody's going to be offended. And what happens is we get far more reports of, you know what, I made my calls last week finally, and I got a lead, right? I got an appointment. We hear that much more often than somebody saying, I made my calls and my past client was offended that I wanted to talk about real estate. In fact, I don't think I've ever heard that. Have you? No. So it's an excuse that I don't know has ever been validated before, at least not to me. This is not door knocking where some people will be offended and they don't want you on their front steps, right? This is a conversation. And typically the conversations that you and I are talking about here, it's not to FSBOs and expireds. It's to people that we know.
Yes.
Right. I mean, this is not a conversation around expireds that is more complicated and you have a higher risk of offending.
Sure.
As I've said before so many times, nobody is standing in the parking lot of the settlement company telling your client that you're going to be in touch with them quarterly, invite them to an annual party, and that they're going to get a Starbucks gift card on their birthday, right? There is no expectation there. So even if it's been a while since you followed up, and I think you've used this script before, Amy, gosh, it's been a long time and I'm sorry for that. If you feel like you need to apologize to open the door, fine. But they're probably not looking for an apology anyway, right? So, I think we've kind of beaten this to death. Try it. I think you'll be impressed with the results. You're going to get appointments. Those that do their hour of power of prospecting per day have a greater result than those that don't. That doesn't mean that you can't be successful wishing, waiting, and hoping. We all know successful agents, but you could be more successful if you wanted to be a bit more proactive.
Yeah. So then the next bit of pushback, Charlie, you and I get is, wait, who should I talk to, right?
Yes, yes.
Should I say? So this is where you finish your business plan more or less, because we're going to go through your beautiful template, Charlie. Yeah. So it's like, who do I talk to? Well, let's figure out your primary sources of business. And I actually call them my marketing pillars. Sources of business I tend to track after the fact. Like maybe, Charlie, you sent me that one referral, and I track that as a source of business. You're not a marketing pillar for me. Right. I'm not counting on 8 transactions out of you.
Right.
So for me, and I guess I don't have it with me, my one sheet that I did for myself with a marker, but I call them pillars, and I actually drew them like pillars, and I wrote on them because I'm a very visual person. And so these are the pillars that hold up my business. These are my marketing initiatives. These are the things that I focus on. And then I track my sources of business after. So here's an example. Maybe your primary sources of business in the coming 12 months would be sphere of influence. Past clients for me are a subset of my sphere. I know these people, they know me. I have a friend for whom those are 2 distinct categories. I'm not quite sure why I do it this way. Zillow may be a source for some agents. It's the reason I put it on there. It's not for me. And you and I both are really careful, I think, when we coach our clients to not spend money that isn't, the money isn't being held accountable to high returns. Listing leverage is a pillar for me, and a lot of people don't have that as a pillar and are confused by it. If you have an extraordinary listing marketing protocol, it will get you more listings, it will get you more referrals, and it will get you more online leads. If you can create a closable lead out of every single listing that you market, let's call that a pillar, baby.
Right.
And then geographic farming can be a good pillar. Charlie, you mentioned expireds and FSBOs. These are all appropriate ones to chase. Now what you do with these 4 sources, whatever you have on yours, is you need to build out the plan for each, transfer it to your schedule, and obey your schedule.
Okay, well, interesting, right? So we hear a lot, I didn't have time for calls this week.
Right.
We also hear, when I say, okay, how many conversations are you going to have between now and next time we talk? Let's pretend that's a week from now to make this simple. It's so funny. Oftentimes the answer to that is not dictated by the business plan.
Oh.
Right? It's dictated on a whim. Right? So I have some Tom Ferry clients where it's like 40. I will talk to 40 people with, between now and next week. And that's what it is basically every week. And I'm cool with that because I know what their annual number is, and I know that they're exceeding that annual number.
Yeah.
Right. I have other people that literally have to think about it and go, ooh, next week we got Memorial Day. I got a couple closings. Oh, I'm going to be busier next week than usual. So put me down for 7. Oh, 7 conversations for the week. Yeah. Right. And it's based off, again, of a whim, when really it should be based off of the simple math of the business plan. Again, if you're using 50 conversations to a deal or 40, and we're backing in time off, you're using 11 months, right? I typically use 10 months. Not to say that people are going to be off for 2 months.
No.
There are going to be some days that you're going to be too busy. Maybe you have 3 closings that day. You're not going to prospect that day, right? So I guess my point is, it doesn't matter what metrics you use, as long as you're using the metrics that are appropriate for you, for the formulas, and then you're allowing the simple math and the results of doing that simple math dictate your actions and not your feelings, right? Not a whim, not I'm not feeling it, so next week it's going to be this. We can give you grace. Amy's giving you a month of grace here. Right, I'm giving you 2 months if you were to do this exercise with me. The problem is in winter, if you're hibernating, right, the grace goes by really quick, and then suddenly it's like, oh my gosh, all my free weeks are gone. I've got a prospect when I'm at the beach now. I've got a prospect the day after Thanksgiving now because my free days are up. So, talk to me about people that make these. I do my business plan. I don't, and this is a mini business plan, right? I mean, we have some that we can offer people for free, that are much more extensive. This is really just the math. And talk to me about people that let feelings or whims get in the way of the math. It's almost like, and then I'll shut up. It's almost like, I'm going to be really busy next week doing personal stuff, so I'm only going to make 7 calls. And really, my response should be at that time, fantastic. So are we going to reduce your income from 200 to 190 this year? Based on the drop in conversations. If you really want to get analytical, there's people that you can monetize that hour of power, and when you miss it, it costs you this much money. The drivers love it when you do that.
Wow.
They're like, I want you in my face, and I want you to ask me why I blew $5,000 this week by not making my calls.
Yeah.
Right. This is suggested by the clients.
Yeah.
So anyway, your thoughts on letting whims and feelings, and we all have this issue, right?
Yeah.
I'm not putting myself on a pedestal and saying this doesn't happen to me.
Yeah,
right?
We're all the same. So I think it's what I said about your plan needs to inspire action or revision. Okay, so you're either going to act on what you wrote or you're going to change the plan, just like you said, Charlie. So first things first, your plan has to be good enough. You have to believe in it enough that it inspires action, or you're willing to make edits and then act on those. But back to feelings, this is just the human condition, right?
Yeah.
Would I rather go to the gym or drink wine? Drink wine all day long. And what I've learned is that's not a legitimate question. So quit asking yourself, do I feel like making my calls? That's not a reasonable question. Like, maybe your business plan should also include the questions you're allowed to ask yourself.
No, that's a good point. I was just writing that down, actually. Yep.
Am I committed to my outcome? Is this plan, do I believe this plan will get me where I want to go? Do I have the resources to grow the skill necessary to achieve what I've written? Not, do I feel like drinking wine or doing sit-ups?
Right.
That's the dumbest question any of us ever ask ourselves.
Right.
We all do.
Yep.
The other thing that you can learn by, your own personal discipline or reading, books on habits and things is when you tackle hard things, when you take on that thing that you don't want to do and you do it anyway, it feels so good.
Right.
Tackling challenge and mastering new skills feels way better than pampering yourself. And I am not even kidding. Right. So I just want to encourage you. I used to say this to my kids, not everything is chocolate for breakfast. So do it anyway.
Right.
So I think it's just time to acknowledge that an outcome like this deserves a commitment of effort and change, and just feel proud of yourself. Just say, good for you. Good for you doing hard things. Come on. Don't pity yourself that it looks challenging. It's not even as hard as you think.
I like it. Okay, let's pivot over to the other worksheet. Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so this is, again, will be available later this afternoon at theallegianceway.com. Click on Daily Dose. So the vision statement, I'm committed to have this year be my best year ever, because this is where you want to put that why down, right? The why has to be powerful. You and I have talked about this so many times. We know the hardest people to coach are those that do not have a powerful why. And I like to tell people the why can be short-term. It can be long-term.
Sure.
You can change it all the time as long as it is something compelling enough to get you out of bed and get you into action on a given day. And for some people, that is, I want a Tesla and I want it by September.
Yeah.
For other people, it's, I've got kids I've got to pay for college for, and they're 2 years old, right? Whatever works for you works for me. And I presume that you agree.
Oh, 100%. 100%. I love that you said that, because I have been shamed by trainers in the past. It has to be this and it has to be this and it can't be your kids.
Right.
I had a trainer say to me once, it's whatever it is and it may change. And I love it.
Cool. Personal vision and professional vision. Mission is today, vision is tomorrow. So be thinking, where do you want to be in 3 to 5 years? Let me go back over. I need to find the real file and scroll down.
I see it. There we go.
Three key areas to master professionally and personally. I think that this is fairly self-explanatory. Getting down here into the numbers, this looks quite familiar to what you were discussing a minute ago, Amy. Again, I say here your average commission percentage, it's not 3%. You end up doing the math. I have starting with the income goal and then figuring out the transactions.
Great.
You can do it starting with transactions and then figure out the income. It doesn't really matter, right?
It's step by step. They should follow this. Yeah.
Yep. Transactions, results, and this year's goals. So this is interesting. This is almost a tracker as well. So ideally, we talked about keeping track of the number of conversations that you have, because that's going to allow us to come up with your number, right? Your math number for 2021. This exercise is, where did your deals come from last year, and where do they need to come from this year?
Yep.
I've got past clients and Sphere separate, although I am in your book, Amy, that they're, for me, past clients and Sphere are basically the same, but they are broken out on this particular form. We've got
tracking, because it's not a marketing initiative, it's tracking. Right. Yeah.
Good. Okay. So we have many different lead sources here, and then we have room to put in other, right? Because there's always other. And then conversations. We hit on this a few minutes ago. You were using the formula of 50. I was using the formula of 40. The higher the number, the more conservative you're being. There is no right or wrong answer here. But again, hopefully you're going to start tracking after seeing this video over the next 6 months, and then you're going to have your own number. My number's 28, or I'm newer and my number is 53, right? Whatever it is what we would prefer to use. And then it spits out the total daily number of conversations. I have 11 months here, like you do, Amy. When I do business planning one-on-one with somebody, I bring it down to 10 months because I know they're going to skip days. And again, it's just being more conservative. It's just being more conservative. And then we have room for notes, and that's it. So easy peasy.
Will you go back up to the previous slide? Because I want to make a pitch.
I will. Yes.
I want to make a pitch for the allegianceway.com. So here's the thing I want to say. The slide that Charlie is tabbing to that listed all those many sources of business. Yep. This is what I was saying earlier in today's broadcast. Yes, I track every single lead, every single closing, but they're not all equally important as a marketing initiative. So here's the problem. If you go through this and you make some projections for the coming year and you say, well, I'm going to have 20 sources of business, what are you going to do to make that true?
Thank you for bringing that up. Yes, go on.
So I want to encourage you to have 3 or 4. And I've had people push back on me and quote some famous trainer that we all know and say, no, so-and-so says you have to have 10. No, so-and-so whose mega team closed 3,000 deals had 10. Right. Not everyone starts with 10 primary sources of business. So the thing of it is, if you're not doing a good job of marketing to your sphere of influence, you're leaving gold at your feet. And that's a quote from you, Charlie.
Right.
So I would say pick 3 or 4. If you are crushing every single one and getting the returns you anticipated, you have my permission to add a 5th, but don't add 10 initiatives for the coming year. I think you will do them ineffectively.
Yeah, no, I mean, we've said it before. We don't want 10 lead sources, each at a level 5, right? Mm-hmm. We want 4 at a level 10. And then when you get to that level 10, then add Zillow, then add geofarming, whatever it is.
Sure.
But revisit the plan and figure out, how that will work.
Yeah.
Right. This business plan should also enable you to say no when certain telemarketers call you, or when we can start going to trade shows again. We're walking through a trade show and somebody, we walk over to get the Hershey's Kiss out of the bowl and somebody tries to sell us something that we may not need, right? To be thinking about the business plan. I don't need Zillow today because it's not one of my lead pillars. Yep. Perhaps when I've executed at a level 10 on all of my lead pillars, I can reassess and perhaps I will be in a position where Zillow will make sense to me. I think Zillow is great if you have the money and if you have a fantastic, obsessive follow-up system. Right? Those are things that you need to think about before you go down that road, though. So let the business plan dictate your decisions. Hey, sorry, Zillow rep. Zillow's not my business plan right now. Why don't you call me back in 4 months? I feel like I'm going to be reaching my goals, and then I will entertain Zillow when the time comes, right? Whatever.
My says it's not in my marketing budget.
There you go.
There you go. Marketing budget. And if your marketing is exceeding 10% of gross, you need to look at where that money's going.
I like it.
That was my pitch for the allegianceway.com. Go through that, identify 3 or 4 pillars of business that you really want to master, and then take advantage of us. We have created so many step-by-step guides for becoming extraordinary, because what this business plan is missing is the step-by-step plan for executing the marketing for creating those conversations. And those resources are in the allegianceway.com.
They're in the Allegiance Way, and we have the accountability piece, which is group coaching, right? If you struggle to have those conversations, if you struggle with mindset, if you struggle with your schedule, an accountability helper works, right? An accountability partner, whether it's me, the group, your spouse, somebody else in the office, it doesn't matter, because when you and it's time to meet with them. And this is, I know you have clients that do this too, right? They're paying us, and the coaching calls tomorrow. And what are they doing now? It's a mad scramble to get some of that homework done because they do not want to get on the call and say they didn't do anything, right? What is that? That's accountability right there, right? That is accountability. So it is not a dirty word. Role play is not a dirty word. Those words are great words in this industry, and they would all make us more money if we were to adopt them on a regular basis, right? So we're a little bit over. Any closing thoughts today, Amy?
Write a plan that you want to execute and ask someone to help you with it. And if it doesn't speak to you, rewrite it. You'll get better at it over time. Your plan should inspire action or revision and then action.
I like it. Good. Tomorrow, you and Jerusalem, boy, you're going to break the internet again with your energy that you two are going to bring, talking about unique value proposition, right?
And wonderful dovetail after this.
Yeah.
So many of us say, what makes me special? What should I say? I don't know. It's a really cool exercise.
Good. So that's tomorrow. And then Friday, tracking. We talked about tracking a little bit today. We're going to go in depth there on Friday. And with that, I hope you have a great rest of the day. Good to see you, Amy. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care.
Bye, everybody.